Hey, it's time for the follow through. I'm Pastor Fred, and we're looking at kind of God's power and asking ourselves a really important question: are we going with our power or God's power, in our strength or in God's strength? And because when you look at the world around us today, it doesn't want to talk about weakness. In fact, it wants to avoid talking about any kind of weakness or showing any kind of weakness. It's one of the toughest things. Have you ever had to fill out like on a job interview and they're trying to get to know you a bit and they're like, show us your strengths and weaknesses? I hate doing either of those, right? Because I feel like if I'm talking about my strengths, I'm bragging. And I feel like if I talk about my weaknesses, I'm giving them like reasons to not, consider me for whatever it is. And I'm like, okay, so we're all trained to just give the best impression, and even the weakness to try to say, this is a possible strength, and I'm aware of it and I'm working on it. We're always quick to do that, forgetting that we have all these blind sides and all these issues, and we have limitations, right? We have physical things that we can't do in our own strength, and we need God to do it. Now, here's something cool. Paul, who writes in 2 Corinthians, kind of has a different way of looking at weaknesses. Listen to what he says. It's pretty cool. He says, we have this treasure in jars of clay to show that the surpassing power belongs to God and not to us. So you could look at your weakness and go, oh man, woe is me, and how terrible, or try to hide it, try to explain it away. But Paul's going, yeah, I think there's a pretty good reason why we're frail and why we're human beings and we have these limitations, and not all of us are, godlike in everything that we do. And because it's a reason so that we would not trust in ourselves, so that we would not say, look at what I did, and try to, kind of take in all the glory for ourselves. But that there would be no mistake that what we did was God's thing, that it was God doing this, God's power, God's, right, as he says, I love how he puts it, his surpassing power comes from God. That's really important to see. That word surpassing power belongs to God, because his power is beyond what we can even imagine. It is more powerful than we can even wrap our minds around, or even kind of dissect and analyze. It's from him and not from us, and that's why we got these weaknesses, because we're human beings. We weren't created to be God. We weren't created to be everything to everyone, and in terms of power and in strength and everything else. But that the power and strength comes from him. Doesn't mean we don't do stuff. Doesn't mean that we don't serve and help, and that's what we do. But we know that it's God's power and strength. And as I've been saying all week, you want to go back to your motivation. You want to go back to your goal. If it's to serve God, to give him glory and all of that, yeah, God's going to get behind that. Your own little, kingdom and power, struggle, not so much. So let's go to God today and let's ask him, what are my motives? What is my goal? And whose strength am I going with? Is it my strength, or is it God's strength? Because his strength is amazing. And he'll have more than enough for us. Love, forgiveness, grace, mercy, strength, power, perspective, intellect, all of it that we need, he gives to us in an incredible and overflowing and an unsurpassing way. All right, so share this with somebody. Please let everyone know what God is doing, and again, it's his strength, it's his power, so that we can, again, together look to him and serve him. Hit that subscribe button, and we'll share this with somebody, and we'll talk to you next time for another follow through.